are such genuine gems for joining me today. Thank you so much for being here. A big welcome back to my returning subscribers and viewers. You guys absolutely make my day and warm my little heart every time you drop a cheeky little like or leave a comment downstairs so that we can have a chat. It really is my favorite notification, and every time it comes through, no matter how small the comment, it just makes my day so bright and shiny. Thank you so much for those. And a huge hi, hello, how are you to everyone that might be new and have just found me today. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you like what you've seen so far and you found a reason to stay and hang out. My name is Miss Chloe, and this is my little corner of the internet where I get to share my cross-stitching journey with you guys. Today it is the start of a whole new year. Where did 2024 go and how did we get out of that? I don't know about you guys, but mine was a turbulent year full of so many big changes and so many new things, especially with our family. So I am glad that we made it out. I am so glad to be here. I would like to start by wishing you all a very happy 2025, and I hope that it is a great year for everybody. I hope we all get to do lots of projects and finish all the things and just have the best time together. The best time together. But of course, because it is now 2025, I need some help. This is our little friend. He has been in our background for an entire year. And I can't believe it's been a year since I stitched him. This is our lucky 2024 dragon. He was our year-long mascot. So I think we are going to need a new one. So before I get too into things and forget to ask you guys, I need to make sure that I get a replacement for him this year. So if anyone has seen a 2025 piece that is really cute and you think deserves the spot, please let me know. Send me a DM on Instagram or, hook me up in the comments below. Let me know where I'm headed to have a look at this year's 2025 yearly contenders. Because after this video, our boy here, he needs to go, unfortunately. He will go to the hoop wall. He's not going to go in the bin or anything. He has a spot all picked out, all ready to go. But it does mean that we need to replace him in our display here. So if you guys can help me with that one, I would very much appreciate that. And now I think we should get going. So today is going to be a little bit of a different video. It's not a regular update. For anyone that hasn't been in Flosstube very long, we like to do WIP parades. It's where we clear out our craft room against our better judgment and pile everything on our kitchen tables to come and film for you guys, to get a bit of a catalog and see what we've got, to see what kind of thing we might want to finish in the new year, to see what other people are excited about, and of course, build some shopping lists. That's why I watch WIP parades, to build all my shopping lists. So this will be a longer video. It will not be updatey. It will be more, this is what I've got, this is where it's from. Are we going to try and finish it this year or not? And of course, you guys are welcome to have your say too. So make sure that if there is something you think I should finish or push for a finish on, you mention it down below, you let me know. And then I can try and make that more of a priority piece for myself as well. But because it is a longer video, I recommend a nice hot cuppa, a nice plate of snackies, because we all need snacks, and of course some stitching to keep your hands busy while we go. So if you haven't got those things, pause me here, and go and grab them and come on back. We will wait for you. We will wait for you. Alrighty, so if everyone's ready, I think we should get right into it. I have got 3 big piles on my table because I couldn't stack them all together. I did try, but it came up to about here. So it was very much in camera view, and I wouldn't have been able to show you guys anything. So I did dismantle the mountain after bumping it, and it fell over. But we dismantled the mountain. We've got her in 3 smaller piles. So I think we're going to start with the bigger pile. A lot of these are things that if you've been here during the last 12 months, you'll have seen a lot of. You'll know a lot of these projects, of course, but there may be some things that I haven't worked on very much, or that I haven't worked on at all in the past year, that come up throughout the video. So do keep an eye out and see if your favorites are in rotation. Alrighty, let's get into this, shall we? So right on top, we have a current favorite. I love this piece, and I am working on this with a couple of friends. So I'm doing this with Amy, I'm doing this with Katie, and I'm doing this with Liz. here is our scary sampler. This is, of course, a scary sampler. It is from Beth Twist of Heartstrings Samplery. And this is done 1/1 on a 28 count even weave from Zweigart. And I am absolutely loving it. I have made a bunch of color changes. You guys can see my little pink post-it note in the corner that has a note of all the changes on it. So for this one, I have added 3371 for the grout on the house and the side of the house, just to give it a bit of a lift because it was in black. I have added in 367 for our dark grass at the bottom and 3347 for our lighter grass at the top. Just again to give it a bit of contrast. There weren't a lot of colors in this one. And then I am also going to change out the tree's leaves once I get there. So we do have the Whomping Willow in this one, and she hangs down next to the house. It looks like she's got a giant cockroach climbing up her as well. It's scary. I would definitely need a can of Mortine. Would not be okay. No giant cockroaches for me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. No, sir. So I will have to stitch that one in. I haven't quite got there yet, but I have some ideas noted down for the color of my leaves. I really love this one. As I said, I am doing this with a lot of different people who have started it as well, and we've had a lot of fun. So I know Amy started in the bottom here. She has done her grass, and I started with the alien flowers, so I did my border. And we are both realizing that we have bitten off a lot more than we thought with this piece. There are so many stitches, and on 28 count over 1, she is very, very small. But I think this is the perfect size for this piece. I really love how it's coming out. I don't know how I'm gonna finish it yet. I might actually just have to frame it and put it on the wall. Samplers aren't really my thing. But I did get drawn to this one because of all of the references. So this one was done really, really cleverly. If you don't know the backstory of it, our designer is Heartstrings Samplery, and they have hidden Easter eggs throughout the entire piece. So the flowers are the Demogorgon heads from Stranger Things. We have a little ghost in one of our windows. He's not done yet though. We are also going to have a candle. There's a black cat. There are the numbers from Lost. We've got the Whomping Willow from Harry Potter. There is a giant cockroach. I'm not really sure what that's from, but it's terrifying enough on its own, you guys. It's terrifying enough on its own. There is a Death Star. There will be pterodactyls from Jurassic Park. We will have Thing. We will have the sandworm from Beetlejuice, and so on. So there's so many little tiny hidden references everywhere in this piece, and I absolutely love it. I think it's just so much fun to do, and it's so much fun to try and find all of the little things and work out where they fit in. But that's where she's up to. I am hoping to finish it this year, and it's looking like a possibility. I am at a cool 55% done, according to Pattern Keeper. Which is great because before Christmas I was really pushing to get this up to 50% before New Year's. And I had a few days where I got to visit my lovely nan and stay with her. So this became my focus piece while I was there. And I put in all of this grass. There is so much grass, you guys. It is never ending. And I found out that this is the smaller grass. So now I'm working on the bigger grass. And it just won't stop. It just won't stop. There's so much of it. But it has been really cool to do the grass because while we're doing it, I'll give you another close-up now so you can have a bit of a look at where I'm at. But you can see all the items are starting to become outlined. So our sandworm from Beetlejuice, we've got some fish bones there at the bottom. We've got what looks like just a normal bone, and then we've got Thing outlined there as well as a spade. So it's really cool to see sort of where everything's going to sit and be able to plot it really easily. I think doing this grass is definitely the way forward, as much as I don't want to because it's all one color and it's boring. I think it is definitely the way forward for me, just to get it all in line and ready. Once it is ready to go, then I can just go through and say, oh, I want to do all of the red or all of the white or, you know, all of the brown, and I can plot where everything goes really easily in that bottom section within the grass. So I am very excited to get that done. A further change that I'm thinking of making to this one, the path on here is actually charted as completely empty. And I think that would be fine if I'd used a darker fabric. But because I have used this mocha kind of color, this light color, it's not quite right for my garden path. So I am going to have to update that one, put in a couple of colors for stones, and make it a really nice little path. I am debating whether or not the stones will need to be shadowed, but I think I want to make them a few shades darker than our house so that we have this nice depth in our grass there. But yeah, that's where this one's up to. So again, I am hoping to push for a finish on this one this year. It has been really, really good to work on, but I think it's time to go. So I cannot wait to see how much I can get done on this one. Typically, I will pick this up around the 13th of each month, which was our initial plan. So when I started this with Amy, and the two of us were like, yep, every month on the 13th, we'll stitch for 5 days. Sounds really good. I think it lasted for about 3 months, and then it just stopped happening because life got in the way. Life got in the way and we just didn't get there anymore. But hopefully this year I can get it done. So around the 13th, you will see this pop up on my Instagram. She will definitely come back, and I think we can do it. I think we can power through and get a good finish on her. Next up, we have a favorite of everybody's. Whenever she comes out, she makes a great impression. This is the Dark Queen of the Earth. I'm not going to unroll her here on camera because our frame is a little bit finicky. She doesn't like to go back together. So we're not going to do that today. But here is a close-up, and it is fully unrolled. So you guys can have a really, really good look. So this is my girl. She is from Autumn Lane Stitchery, and I absolutely love her. This is the Dark Queen of the Earth. She was a stitch along a few years ago now, and she has a twin. Her twin's name is the Dark Queen of the Sea. So with this one, I started this one late because my fabric didn't arrive. Thanks Australia Post. So I did get given a mystery fabric. This is a 32 count even weave fabric, and she is glittery. So she is absolutely gorgeous, and I love her so much. Because I am doing the green fabric, I have decided to go with the dark brown skin. So you can see here in her legs and feet, we've got the brown coming through. I also felt that for the Dark Queen of the Earth, the brown was definitely the right way to go. It just felt really right. So there are two variations on this piece. One is the brown queen and one is the green queen. And you could sort of pick as we went as to which one you wanted to do. Now I picked the brown one because I saw her face and I saw the branches coming out of her head, and she just looked like this ethereal little wood nymph. And I was obsessed, absolutely obsessed with her. So I did go with brown, and I'm really glad I did. I think it pops super nicely on this green fabric. And I'm just really, really enjoying stitching her up. I think she's been a lot of fun. I did start her with so many people back in 2023. Oh, that's hard to say. I don't like that. That seems too long ago. She should be done. Oops. But I did start her with a whole lot of you guys. Most of you are finished now or quite a long way along. I think I'm about halfway done. I think I started part 6 or 7 on this one. So I still have a long way to go, but I am really enjoying her. She is stitched 2/2 on a 32 count even weave, which, as I said, does have that glitter. So she's an opalescent cut, and she is just gorgeous. The weave on this one is pretty tight, so being opalescent with a tight weave means that I have to pick my moments to work on her. Otherwise, we do end up with a bit of a headache. But when I get my zen on and I can do it, it's just such a breeze, and she's so gorgeous to work with. I really, really love her as a piece. This year, for goals for her, I think I'd just like to get 2 more portions done. I know she's a long way behind, and I know there's a lot to do, especially when you look at part 12 and it's beading and backstitching, which is a little bit scary. For those who have been here before, you'll know, but for those who haven't been here very much, I am very much a person who likes to backstitch as she goes. I do not like to have big things with lots of backstitch that I have not done yet that I then have to recount and place. I like to get it done as I go. And I just found it's a technique that works for me, because otherwise I feel like everything's in the wrong spot with bigger projects. So I am a little bit scared on this one. She did get a little bit of backstitch in, I think it was part 2 with these pink petals. They got a few like veiny line things on them, and they were really easy to do. I couched them, they looked really good. But the rest of the backstitch, that's going to be a challenge. So we'll see how we go. The other variant on here, of course, because I always forget to tell you guys, is that this flower here, there is an option to do them as giant orbs. I decided to do them as the open flowers because I love the idea that light's coming out of the flowers and that they've just made her world shine. So I went with that. But that's where she's up to. So hopefully this time next year, I'll be able to trot her back out and show you 2 completed parts. I think for the parts that I want to complete this foot section because it's pretty close. So there's a little bit more down the bottom in this roll up here that needs doing, and then the base will be done, and then I can roll her up. But I would actually really like, there's a big spiral that goes around her head. I'm sure you guys can see. There's a big spiral that goes around her head, and it organizes a lot of placement for us. So I would like to get that done. And I would also like to get her arms in. I think that would be really good. And they, again, come off the spiral and the branches. So it would be really nice to have them all together and done. The next piece I have to share with you guys is Little Itty Bitty. It is not a big start. This is a piece that I picked up for May Mania, and I think for fandom we only needed to put in about 200 or 300 stitches. So at the moment it just looks like this. Here's a close-up because I have done a tiny amount. It's pretty abysmal. This is Silver Bells from Lindy Stitches. So it will eventually say Silver Bells and have what looks like a beautiful little peacock on it. This piece is very cute. It all came completely kitted, so it is a 32 count. I believe this one's a linen. And it came with all of the called for fancy floss. So this is a fancy floss project, which means that all of the stitches have to be done 1 at a time. So I am doing this 2/2 on 32 count, but it is 1 single stitch, and then you move to another single stitch and you do the full cross, which takes just that little bit longer. And I'm not a huge fan of doing things that way, so I have put her down and promptly forgotten about finishing her. I was hoping to get her done for Christmas in 24, but when you forget that things exist, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So I got my required stitches in on her. I think I'm going to try and bring this one out and focus on it a little bit this year because it is not a big piece and it has the instructions to finish it in a small pillow, which I think could be really, really cute. One of my friends, Sue, does really amazing finishes and hers are pillows, so she has inspired me. I really want to try finishing things as a little pillow. So I think Silver Bells will be my ideal candidate for that. I know that you can't see much. The floss is a very light color, so it is a bit washed out. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I think this one will be great for 25 for fandom. It has a lot of stitches left. There is a lot to go. So as you can see, it will look like this, but right now it just says Sil and it's really cute. I have really enjoyed looking at the fancy flosses that go with this one. They're just really pretty. There's something about them. I love the way that they change and it's just so subtle, but doing stitches 1 at a time is killing me a little bit. Killing me just a little bit. But hopefully I can get this one out for this year and get her done. So I think I'm gonna have to put her on a Q-snap when I finish here and just load it up so that it's just convenient and ready to go. Alrighty, next up we have a couple more gorgeous ladies to share with you guys. These are my Mermaids of the Seasons from Bella Filipina. Here is your close-up of what's been done already. So we have most of spring filled in. She just needs her title and her border. And we have started Summer as well. So Summer has most of that first color put in already. These guys are on a 32 count even weave. However, they are done in varying types of stitching. So this is the first piece that I've picked up that I decided to do 1/1 for skin and 2/2 for everything else. And then she also had beading and backstitch. So talk about getting a workout for different ways to stitch. This is the piece. This is the piece. But they're setting me up to be able to do fancy ladies in the future. So I am really, really loving them. I love the stark difference between the 1/1 skin and the 2/2 in her tail and her hair. Spring came out just so beautifully that I cannot wait to get summer done. I am already enjoying her, even if she is 1/1 on 32 at this point in time. As I said, I am almost done with her first swatch of skin. So she's going to be really, really pretty when she's done. These pieces were designed up by Bella Filipina. This was another stitch along that I started and just could not hold water with. She did not work for me. So what we're learning is I cannot sell a fancy lady to save my life, because that's what, 5 of them now? Because the Dark Queen is 1 and then these girls had 4. So that's not so good. That's not so good. I would like to get summer finished. She has gorgeous coloring. It's all pinks and oranges, and she just gives a very beachy vibe. I love her so much. So much. So as I said, I definitely didn't keep up with this, but when they were released as a stitch along, they were organized to be on one piece of fabric. So they all should have been together, facing inwards in this nice little rectangle with outlines and their names. And I looked at that and I went, nah, each season should have a different color. So I have 4 different colored 32 count fabrics ready to go. I did borrow another giant scroll frame from my friend Jo, who is an absolute legend. She dropped off and everything. She's amazing. But she lent me a scroller to load the other 2 onto so that I could be ready to start them straight away. So her challenge to me was to start them sort of one after the other. So get a couple of colors done on her and then start maybe winter or autumn, and get them all moving so that they can be finished around the same time. So the reason that spring hasn't been finished, because she is super duper close. She basically just needs back stitching in her cornice work and then the word spring put underneath her, which I am still not sure if I will do. But we'll see, is because I am looking at frames for these guys. So I don't want to stitch up her cornice and her entire framework just to find out that it's a different size to what I can get in framing. So I will be doing her frame, measuring that, marking on here where I'm going, and then putting everything in from there. And I'm gonna do the same with the other 3 girls as well. Next up, we have what was one of my favorite projects of last year. I really loved this one and we got so close to finishing it. And then things happened and she just got put down. She just got put down, girl. It was no good. It was no good. But it's the Deadly Aquarium from Lola Crow. This was Lola Crow's main stitch along for 2024. And I loved it. I kept up with most of it. It is almost done. It is almost done. I think I need about 3 colors and she's finished. But I did run out and I had to order more, and then I ordered more and it came, but by then I was obsessed with someone else. So I took a break from her. As you can see in your close-up there is a lot that's hiding underneath my grime guard right now. But she is also completely poised and ready for me to finish because the work is at the bottom. This is another piece where I have been doing my back stitch as I go. Thankfully, with this stitch along, Lola Crow did release the back stitches in tandem with the main stitches. So I could do things like detail my little angelfish, lionfish, my fish. Anyway, and my little octopus and all of my coral reef and things like that, and just get them really in line so that they were ready to go. Something I have not done is fill out the signs. I didn't finish the frame in time. That I was behind on. And I stayed behind on that for a long time. So I just did it as I went. But I really, really love this piece. I think it is so much fun. I did put in a crocagator last time I went home. So the last time I worked on this was in September. But we had some family stuff going on back then. And because I was working on this while I was trying to process that and go through everything, when all of the time passed that we were going through those tough times, I put her down and I just couldn't pick her back up. So I am hoping that being 2025 now, things have moved on in my brain and I can separate her from the time and the experience that I had, and I can get her finished. I think she's at like 98% or something crazy. Like, she's so close to being done. She just needs a little bit more work, a little bit of fill in and some backstitch, and she's good to go. Like, this sign over here in the corner is definitely ready for her fill in. She's ready for her close up. Let's go. But I really, really love this piece. I love all of the little animals, and something I like a lot about Lola Crow, she did this with the greenhouse as well, is that she released little fact sheets with every single one of her pieces. So we actually got to learn all about the animals and the plants that we were stitching up in the Deadly Aquarium. So this one is, of course, on a 32 count even weave. No surprises there, right guys? We all know I love my even weave. And she is, of course, stitched 2 over 2 to make her nice and chunky. And this also makes her the same size as the Greenhouse of Oddities that I did the year before, which is also from the lovely Lola Crow. So I'm going to have to deframe my other one and then frame these guys up together so that they have matching frames. The frame that I had for the other Lola Crow piece is quite old, and I took some old artwork out of it, but I do not have another one. So we're going to have to do our best and see what we can get matched up. But I think this is very close to a finish, so I think we can get it done this year. While we are on the Lola Crow train, I think it's only fair that we bring out the stitch along for her Christmas from 2 years ago. So this is the Creepy Christmas Village, and I know it looks finished, but I promise you there is one more. I'm just out of room on this piece of fabric, so I need to get another piece. Here is your close-up of what everybody looks like. So this one was released as 6 official ornaments, these larger ones, and then 1 smaller ornament, which is called the Merry Mole. So to take you through them on your close-ups there, we have the Christmas Carolers, and that was ornament 1. In ornament 2, we got this cute little shop, which completely gave me Bob's Burgers vibes while I was stitching it. I had the best time on that one. Number 3, of course, was our crow-covered Christmas tree, which had little skulls all over it, and I thought it was just really sweet. I enjoyed that one. Ornament number 4, we got the Headless Horseman and Carriage, and I think he's just really cute. I loved doing this horse with this little ghostly color effect around it. I think it turned out super great. Number 5, we had the Creepy Crawly Gazebo. So this one I actually started this year. Last year. Woof, that's gonna get hard to get used to, you guys. Last year in December, I decided I was gonna try and finish these guys. So I pulled them out and I worked on the Creepy Crawly Gazebo. I did make a small change in our gazebo there. You can see that we've got lots of spider webs going on. I decided to change those over to a DMC light effect, to just give the light catch a little bit extra, a little bit something more. And then number 6, we have past, present, and future ghosts. So they are obviously visiting Ebenezer Scrooge with his little tiny tombstone there. And they are showing him Christmases past, present, and future. I really, really love this stitch along. It was so much fun. I did this one with my friend Amy, with Amy in the Valley over on Instagram. And we had a really good time. So you can see I've test fit the hoops I bought for these guys. And they fit quite well, though I'm not going to have a whole lot to pull in on the sides of the ornaments. Whoops-a-doodle. Whoops-a-doodle. But if I was to take off the hoops, I think I'd have enough to finish them as flat ornaments. So I might challenge myself to go and do that instead and keep these beautiful hoops for something else. So these guys are on, of course, a 32 count even weave, and they are stitched 2 over 2 on that. This even weave is sparkly. It is called Black Pearl, and I believe it is from Steel City Stitches. So I really enjoyed this one. As I only have 1 ornament left, I would like to get that done. I I would like to get that done. He is a happy little mole man, and I think he just deserves the world. So we're going to try and do him this year. I'm already racking up the biggest list of things. I don't know if I'm going to get it done, because I can see things on my table and I'm like, yeah, I'll get that done too. And I'll do that. This is not good. I'm setting far too many challenges, but I think that the Merry Mole is doable. I might save him and do him maybe for Christmas in July, or do him in December. So I'm not really sure, but that's where they're up to, and hopefully they will be all FFO'd by Christmas this year. Next up, we've got a tiny little project that I started a while ago and then kind of got sick of, so I just put him away. This is my little Psyduck, you guys. I love Psyduck. He is from Pokemon. He gets headaches, and I think he's just really cute. So what I did with this one, I took a Harmer bead pattern, which is like where you get these plastic beads and you put them on a pegboard and then you melt them with an iron to keep them together. And I used that to translate the pixels directly to make a cross-stitch pattern of the duck. And I have been guessing at the colors. So I've got the main body color in at the moment. I still need to work out his beak, his feet, and his tum-tum. But when he's done, I think he's going to be really sweet. He is only little. He shouldn't take me very long. He's done on a 14 count white Ada. There's not much to him. And because I did draw him up using basically a pixel pattern, there's not much to tell you about him other than he is about halfway done and he's really cute. He's really cute. Something I do need to work out is how to chart the words. So I really want to put "People Make My Head Hurt" on here, and I don't know whether I should chart them underneath, which is why I've left so much space, or if I should work out how to chart them around and make them go around our little boy. So if you have a thought on that, let me know. But for a little headache, migraine suffering human being, Psyduck was always somebody that I was drawn to because he's consistently holding his head and saying that he's got a headache. And I feel that in my soul. I feel that in my soul. So that's where he's up to. Once I work out his design, he can get finished and then he can jump up on my hoop wall with all of his brothers. The next piece I have to share with you guys is a cute little 4-in-1 project. So this was released as 4 separate pieces, but I have pieced them together because they can run as an entire banner. This is the Stars Holo Gilmore Girls pattern set from the Black Needle Society. And I absolutely love it. So you guys can see here, obviously I joined for the very last retreat, which was winter, because she is completely finished. She is completely done. So I did do that throughout most of the retreat time, where I got to hang out with all of you guys and just have the best time. Huge shout out to my girl, Liz. I was waiting forever for that last color to come in, and it just kept getting back ordered. And then Liz very kindly sent me a couple of lengths, and because I am doing this as 1/1 on 28 count, it didn't need very much thread, so it was the perfect amount that came through to me. Thank you so much, babe. It was really annoying me that I was not able to finish her. It was so annoying. I couldn't get it done, and then I got a helping hand from my stitchy bestie, so very appreciative of you, girl. Like, you have no idea how much that meant to me. Just to tick this one off my list, I think it was a total of like 200 stitches. It was nothing, and it needed doing. So it was really great. So winter is completely finished. There were a couple of changes I made in winter as well. So I added, again, light effects, but at 3 a.m. I decided that that was a really good idea. So my snowflakes are done in light effects to make them sparkly and shiny. And then I also changed Lorelei's skates to make them stand out a little bit, as mine were too close to being white. So it just looked like she had no feet. But other than that, it is as called for with all of the fancy floss. This is the first project that I bought a bunch of fancy floss for, and I just went bunta and ordered everything. I was so excited about doing it. So excited. So once all of my stuff arrived, I did have to start over here. So each one is a different season. So we have winter, autumn, summer, and spring in the corner. So I started with the spring banner, and I got my colors in and I worked my way across, and then we did the summer banner, and then we did the autumn topper, and then we started winter. and I managed to get through all of winter during the retreat, except for those 200 stitches, which was really nice. And then I started to work backwards. So I'm now working on autumn semi-religiously, just putting in little bits where I can. I am currently doing the grey around Rory's Chilton skirt, and I have finished all around the gazebo so that I can pop that one in as soon as I get time. I really like the colours in spring and summer, so I can't wait to get over here and get them done. But I'm really, really loving this one. I am obviously a very, very long way behind. We should be finished. Am I finished? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it will be a long time before I do. They are quite stitch heavy. These guys are chunky because they are full coverage, as you can see from this one. So we just went with a very white, basic even weave. And we love that. We love that. I'm not typically a full coverage person. As you've seen, nothing is full coverage that I do. So this has been a new experience for me. A very new experience for me, but I am very much enjoying it. I am very much enjoying it. So hopefully I can get this one out for a few fandom challenges this year and get some more stitches put into her. But yeah, that's the 4 of them. That's where they're up to. And we'll see how we go as to how much extra we can put in this year. The next project I have to share with you guys is one that I started late last year with a whole bunch of my friends. Everyone is listed when I post this guy on Instagram. It pops up for all of them. This is Books and Magic from Counting Puddles. I love this piece. So many of us had chats and all fell in love with this piece separately and ended up doing a giant unofficial stitch along together. So this is where mine is. I think 3 or 4 of us have finished it now. I obviously have not. I have not, but I am having a blast. So mine is stitched 2/2 on this beautiful 32 count even weave called Cosmic. It is from Be Stitch Me and she is opalescent, because I felt like our book should be sparkly and magical, not just magical. So it felt like it really needed it. It is mainly a dark even weave as well, so it's very tight on the weave and it's dark. It does have a few lighter spaces in it, and you can see them sort of coming through there underneath the flowers and the book pages, and I love the idea that it looks like the light is coming out of the book. It just makes it that little bit more magical. So with this one I am actually finished with all of the main stitches. They are all done, so we are purely up to back stitching on this guy. Now I know I'm usually, for these bigger pieces, I'm usually very much in the camp of I will backstitch as I go and I will be okay because I'll know where I'm up to. But with this one, I couldn't make up my mind what I wanted to use for the backstitching yet. So I had to leave it alone and I had to just do the main stitching. I think it'll be fine because things are not very close in color. So even though we've got a really good gradient on these books, it's very obvious where things fall and when they change. So I think I should be okay to do this one, this one all in one piece. I'm sure you'll find out if I'm not later, but I am trying to lay out different beads and different sparkly floss to see what kind of options I have to make this piece really my own and really make it pop. So it is charted with just straight DMC, so normal backstitch colors, normal, they all fit in there, used in the pattern, that sort of thing. But I really wanted to make mine a little bit different. There is, as you can see, a giant moon and stars and things like that up there, so I can't wait to put those in. It's going to be a lot of fun. We began this guy for Liz's birthday month last year, and she decided that her stitching to celebrate her birthday would be anything to do with books. So obviously this piece fit really nicely because it is absolutely covered in books. But you could also do a piece that had books in it, were based on books, were quotes from books, had book characters, anything like that. So it was a really big spectrum, which I thought was wonderful because it enabled everyone to join in with projects that they most likely already had, rather than having to go out and start something new. Or of course you could splurge and go start something new if you really wanted to, which is what I did. But I thought it was just a really great idea and a fun way to share. So I really love that we all got to get together and do our stitching in honor of our friend Liz and really make that one come up and be our own. To continue on our bookish theme, I have another little Lola Crow piece. This one came from the fibromyalgia awareness group. So there was a lovely lady who organized a group for us and then reached out to a bunch of designers to see if people would like to make something. And if you did, everyone could download it for free on the fibromyalgia support group. And I thought that was really lovely. So I have grabbed this one. This is a Lola Crow one. So here's your close-up. I think it's really cute. It's not huge and it's just a really sweet little piece. So this one is a library chair. It's got a crow on it, of course, and it's got a beautiful white cat in the middle, which just screams my potato. So for those who don't know, I used to have a big old white cat. Her name was Spud, and she got her name because she used to sleep in the potato patch. So she would curl up where we buried all the potatoes in stalks that were above ground, and she would sleep there and just look like a giant potato. So she went from being Snowball, because I was very little when I named her, to eventually being affectionately called Spud the Potato Cat. And she was just gorgeous. So when I saw this, I had to stitch it straight away because it combined my baby girl and my love of reading. So you can see up here, we've got our image. So it's got a whole lot of books all over the floor. It's got a comfy looking armchair and a really nice little candle. This one is only small, so I am hoping to get this one finished as well. I think this could be very doable. Very doable. It's not huge, and it doesn't have a very large amount of color changes either, which should make it really quick to stitch up and get finished. So I'm hoping that I can get this one done, possibly in the first couple of weeks of the year, so that when I come back next time, we will already have a finished object to share with you guys. This might even be cute to pop in the background here, as I do keep my books up here with me. So it could be a really cute little backdrop update for 2025, but we'll have to see how we go. Next up, I have another stitch along that I did not quite keep up with, but I almost did, so I'm counting it, you guys. This is the Study of Skulls from the Stitch Crypt, and look, it's gonna be just as long as my skull, which I think is a fun little turn of events. This piece, I did decide to do 1/1 on 32 count, so she is quite tiny. So make sure you've had a good look at the cover picture and what she's gonna look like, because once I do my close-up of her, she is then gonna stay split screen for you guys so that you can have a really good look, because I cannot hold her that close to the camera. It just does not work. So here is your close-up now. So this is the Study of Skulls. It came from the Stitch Crypt. This is my first Stitch Crypt piece, and I am absolutely loving it. So as I was getting ready for this one, I had this beautiful fabric in two different ways. So I had it as a 32 count, which is what I've ended up using, and also an 18 count, both from Crafty Leanie's Fabric of the Month Club, and the color is called Poseidon. And while I was sitting there, I couldn't pick whether or not I wanted to use the 32 count with glitter or the 18 that was plain. So I messaged one of my friends and I said, I'm doing skulls, what should it be? And she just wrote back with, throw some glitter on that thing, and the rest is history. I ended up with the glittery piece, quite obviously. And it has been a lot of fun. This is my first Stitch Crypt piece, and I've absolutely loved it, but the bad idea bears, as I call them, invaded my brain again when I was about to start this. Even though there is more than enough fabric to do the thing 2/2, the bad idea bears got in and went, you know, it'd be really cute, Chloe. You know, it'd be really cute. 1/1. You could make it so tiny and little. And that's how it ended up being the same length as my face. But I really love it. There have been no issues with it so far. So I think there's 3 portions that I haven't got. So there are some deer antlers, there is a clock, and there is another little skull that finish off the piece completely, that I have not quite gotten around to stitching as yet. The end of the year was just so busy and hectic. A 1/1 project was definitely not happening. Not this small. 28 count? Yeah, okay. 32 count? My eyeballs. I could not concentrate on her. I could not. So I had to put her down. But the piece itself should be finished. It is all released from the Stitch Crypt, and I am really looking forward to getting it done. There have been no partial stitches at this point, at least in my memory. There have been no partial stitches at this point. So it has been quite easy to coordinate and do as a 1/1, and I have really, really enjoyed doing it. It uses a lot less thread as well, which is nice. Just that nice little gift to yourself, you know, things go further when you work on a small account. With this one, I have made one tiny little change, and that is in this banner here. My friend said, hey Chloe, you should put your initial in there. So I did. I charted it up just to be a fully stitched C. I didn't go with backstitch. I decided not to put in the full monicum. I do not need that many initials on my banner, especially as I have 5 initials and a hyphen. I think that's just too many. I think that's too many to go with the full title. So we did just go nice and easy. Nice and easy. And we put a giant letter C on it. But I'm really happy with how it's coming out. I think for my clock, I'm going to put 3 p.m. as my time. So it is a little analog clock, which is really cute. And it's one of those big old curved ones. So it looks like the one on my dad's mantelpiece that he got from his grandparents on their farm. So I think that's really nice. I'm going to look at possibly putting in the little circle feet that my dad's has, so that this one will match that one and just be a different color. Unless I can work out how to convert it to brown, then we'll go there. But if not, it will be yellow, which is what has been charted. And I absolutely love this piece. I think it's just really cute and really sweet. I like that we have the different kinds of skulls on here, and that we've had a lot to look at, and that she put a little tiny cross stitch in our cross stitch. It's just so cute. It's so cute, you guys. I love it very much. And then of course she has gone and released another little shelf with a skull on it by itself. So I am thinking I might do that 2/2 on the same fabric, as there will be enough left over for him, and hang them together so that I've got one giant one and then all of these little intricate pieces as well. Our next project is a bigger piece, and it's one that I have adopted. This is where I'm up to on Angela's Afghan. I love this piece so much. Here is a close-up of the piece that I am working on. I am currently stitching the square with the beaver on it. This piece, of course, is from Stony Creek, and it is the Forest Friends Afghan. I do affectionately call it Angela's Afghan, as I am stitching this on behalf of my friend Angela. This is the first Afghan I have ever done, and the fabric has been a lot to get used to. It makes me a little bit itchy sometimes, so I do have to put it down. But I have decided that this is going to be my rainy day piece for this year. So what a rainy day piece is, for anyone that hasn't been stitching for all that long, it is something where you give yourself a set number of stitches that you want to do. For me, it's 500 stitches. And each day that it rains, you put in that number of stitches. So you can pick this up throughout the year at any other point in time that you would like, but you need to make sure that when it rains, you get to put in those 500. You have to dedicate time to it. So I know a couple of my friends are also doing rainy day pieces this year, and they have allocated 200 or 100 or 300 to them. And I think that's great. You've just got to pick a number that works for you. For me, I know that if I sit there and I really concentrate, I can get through 500. So I am trying to push it, because I would really like to get this piece finished and returned to my friend this year if possible. So my friend Angela had done the first couple of animals and started the third one, which of course is this little beaver. And I picked it up from there and I started working through it. She was kind enough to not only supply all of the patterns and the materials to stitch it on, but she also supplied me with all of the floss. So I have a decent amount of stash here ready to go to get this one done. So I am hoping for a good amount of rainy days this year so I can get a huge thwack of progress in on her. She is a little bit awkward to hold, just because of the amount of blanket that happens off this one. And yeah, she just doesn't like to sit so well. So I have had to put it in a frame so that I can hang on to it a little bit better. This is the size of snap that I generally like to use. This is my preferred size. So the last couple of projects have been 1111s. and I find them a little bit awkward, a little bit small to hold. This is an 11-17 and she is my sweet spot. She is everything. I love her so much. This size is my favorite. This is the one I will go out of my way to buy and use. I think because it's longer, I can sit the end on my lap and I can work through it, and I don't have to sit there and try and hold the frame awkwardly and stitch at the same time. So it just works better for me. And thankfully our little friend fits right in the center there, and it holds a good amount of the fabric out, so I don't have to worry too much about it. But there are 12 animals on this one, I believe. So I've got a long way to go. I've only just started. And this one is paper patterns. So she's not in Pattern Keeper. So it's going to take a little bit longer because I don't have the auto search and find on paper, obviously, that I have on Pattern Keeper that makes things go so much quicker because you can just see your outlines so well. But we'll see how we go. I really, really like this one, and I like the idea that it's a new medium for me. It's a whole new challenge. So I can't wait to see how much this one grows this year. Next up, we have a couple of cute little Christmas projects that I really want to get finished this year. I am hoping to finish them for Christmas in July, maybe. The first one is Santa's Stamp Collection. This is from the Black Needle Society. Here is your close-up. This one came out in a nice list box a few years ago as a surprise stitch along. And it came to our inbox every single day. And we got to see what the new stamp was. So in each one, there is a little number that goes on it to tell you which day you're up to for the stamp collection. I have not put those in. I've stitched over them in most places. Just because I didn't feel like I needed to put them in there. I wanted to make the project a little bit different, so that's how I did it. Mine is stitched as 2/2 on a 32 count even weave. And as you can see, I have started 24 of 25 stamps, and I am so close to being done. So number 25 is quite large, which you expect, it's Christmas Day. And it is a little fireplace, is a little tiny fireplace. So I'll get him in later. But most of them I've gotten through either the entire backing on this bell, or I have done all the little motifs, which were the really fun bits. They were my aim to keep up for each day, so that's what I did. That's what I stuck with. There are a few little changes on here. I have added a second candle into this piece because there were some candy bacon strip things, but we never had those as kids, so I didn't relate to that. So I just popped in a secondary candle, and I've also added the color red because it was missing. We had this orange, which is absolutely gorgeous, but I had to stitch Santa and his sleigh and my brain just couldn't compute, not at all. So I ended up changing it out and doing it that way around. But this one is getting pretty close. So I feel like during July, I might spend a day focusing on each individual little stamp because there isn't anything at the bottom for this one. It's just at the top, that fancy filigree. So if I can work on doing the background of each piece, or the candle itself in this one, I need the motif done. I reckon I could get this done and up for Christmas by the end of the year. But they are quite sweet. It is really nice to just completely finish one little frame and move on. As I said, this was a complete surprise. So we opened day one of the nice list, and in our inboxes, we had Santa's Stamp Collection banner and little snowman here, which was number 1. As well as the outlines for the other frames. And then each day we had to log in and eagerly await the new piece to download and pop into our little pattern here. So this one was a lot of fun. It was a nice surprise. It definitely made the Christmas month go even faster though, because I had no time to do anything. And being away with my grandparents meant that I had very limited internet access as well. So I had to really, really carefully find things to pop up here. But I did really enjoy this one. I loved this little cardinal the most. He was my favorite, closely followed by this little flower here, which was just really satisfying. And as you can see, took up almost the entire stamp box. Beautiful, beautiful. So that's what that one is up to. The other Christmas piece that I have going at the moment that really needs to get a wriggle on is this year's Lola Crow's Christmas stitch along. I do a lot of her stuff. I really love her work. I love her use of color. So here is a close-up of where I am up to on the current ornament. There are 4 in the main set, and then much like last year's, there is a mini ornament that has been released as well. So I have kept up with this one. I am pretty happy with it. We only got our final ornament the other day. This is the Yule Cat. So far we have had Krampus, we have had La Bafina, we have had the Mary Lwyd. I'm really sorry, I probably butchered that one. And the Yule Cat, and then next up we have a little goat. I really loved this. Much like the other Lola Crow stitch alongs, she has released fact sheets about these guys as they've been coming through to my inbox. So I've not only gotten to stitch some of my favorite Christmas cryptids, but I have gotten to learn their backstories. So I did know about 3 of the 4 of these guys before we started, and the Yule Cat was definitely up there. Yule Cat and Krampus, I was really hopeful. The Mary Lwyd, I had heard about a few times and I had read some stories, but I didn't know a whole lot about, so I didn't fully understand. I probably still don't. I've just read the little fact sheet and done a little bit more research, but I really enjoyed stitching her up. And then we've got Tommy and the little goat, so I can't wait to get into those guys next. I am trying madly to finish our Yule Cat at the moment, because I've put him in and he just needs his Christmas tree, because he's scratching that thing, which is definitely what my grumpy little Yule Cat would have done if we had a Christmas tree up. She used to pull down the little ones that we had, and she would scratch on them. So this Yule Cat is very much my Miss Mocha, and I am so excited to finish it. I am really close. I think on this ornament I am at something like 60% done. So I reckon I can get it done, I can get it in, and then this piece will be another one that I am hoping to FFO before Christmas and hang up around my house. Next up we have a piece that is a bit crinkly. She definitely needs an iron. This is You Are My Sunshine. This is my solstice piece. So I did start this one for a summer solstice specifically. And I thought that this would be a bit of fun to stitch each summer solstice, and every time summer solstice comes around, I forget it exists. So it has sat in the corner for a very long time. And I found it in the bottom of a bag while cleaning out for my WIP Parade. So it's back. It's back. It is almost done. This is a paper pattern from Aldi. So once a year, our local Aldi sells little cross stitch kits, and every year I always get gifted a handful of them, which is just amazing. I really love that my friends are thinking of me all the time, and they go, yeah, Chloe will like this. So I end up with a lot of them. This just came with a base 14 count Ada, and of course a big wooden display hoop. She is quite large. She is quite large. As you can see where these bottom rays are, that's sort of the edge of the piece, and it will be the same again on top. It is quite an easy stitch once you get into it. However, I don't know what's up with Aldi, but all of their kits seem to have a million fractal stitches in them. So all of these have a weird different fractal pattern, even though they all look exactly the same. But that's okay. We still love it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. As I've said, this one is a little bit worse for wear. She's not doing great because the bag she was in, I took it out of the hoop to prevent hoop marks and put it in a bag, and the bag fell behind other things, so the whole thing just got crunched in the back of my cupboard. But she's back now. She's back now, and I think she should be easily doable. So at the moment we're filling in the sun itself down here. It's just more solid yellow like this, and then these rays will more or less be the same colors up the top there, and then it will just need back stitching for the words you are, and it will be done. It will be done, and I can finish it. But this piece is really sweet. I love how sunny and bright it is. I like that it's got a whole bunch of yellows in it, and it just felt really fun. So I was really stoked when my friend CJ bought this one for me and handed it over. And in fact, that's why I started it on the solstice. The solstice was about 2 days later, and it just felt so perfect to stitch up. So that's where she's up to, and I think I have a pretty good chance of getting that one done very soon. Next up we have I'm Late from Bothy Threads. This is a gorgeous piece. She came as a full kit and I absolutely love her. Of course, it is from Alice in Wonderland, and it is a full silhouette scene. As you can see here, we've got Lizzie reading her book. So further down, we will have Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole, following our rabbit, and a little key and a fob watch and things like that, just to really make the piece. This tree has been gorgeous to put in. It's been so much fun with all of its little leaves. This piece is great for travel, for tired eyes, and for beginners, I would say, would find this really easy because they don't have to think about much. They have to have 3 threads of black that come pre-cut for you, pre-organized, ready to go, and then just follow along the path and make their piece shine. So I really love this. This is on a 14 count hand-dyed Ada from Bothy Threads. So I was lucky enough to get one of the old kits that is fully dyed with this beautiful rainbow paddle pop vibe. I absolutely love it. Rainbow paddle pops are and will always be my favorite ice cream. I can no longer eat them because we found out that they contain all the things I'm allergic to, but they are the best. They are the best. So if anyone has the ability to go and eat one right now, please do it. And then tell me how it was. Because I miss them. Rainbow paddle pops were always the thing that I would get when I was traveling. And when I was little, and my brother would always get chocolate, and it was just sort of our thing. So I very much miss those, but this scratches my itch all over because it looks like a rainbow paddle pop. It is the right colors. It is the right depth of tone. It's just absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. So this one is a 14 count Ada. And as you can see, the black just covers it really nicely. So something I do like about Bothy Threads is that they have given you enough to use 3 strands of black over and over and over and over with this whole thing. And it just gives a really perfect coverage. So a lot of time if you use black, for anyone that hasn't done a lot of work with the color black before, if you are trying to do a silhouette piece, it can look sparse, the fabric can show through. The black thread, for whatever reason, is a bit thinner than normal thread. So if you bulk it out with a 3rd piece, you are good to go. You are good to go, my friend, and it will definitely hold up for you. So that's what this one's up to. I do really love this one, and it is a really good one to do. However, there's always a but, there's always a but. This is a paper chart, and that's where I am struggling. So I have a lot of Bothy kits, and they're all paper charts. Now, these are gorgeous paper charts. They're huge. They're very easy to read. They're absolutely beautiful. But I don't like having paper charts anymore. I find them difficult to work with. I always end up spilling something on them because I am an A-level klutz. Or, if I need to frog something, I can't unhighlight. And I know that you can use lemon juice, but I, again, don't feel safe putting that on my charts. So it is one of those things. I have definitely come away from paper charts hugely in the last 12 months. I started using Pattern Keeper maybe 15 months ago-ish. And I really started to fall in love with it because it fits in my pocket. I don't have to worry about having a pen. I don't have to worry about my highlighter drying up. I don't have to worry if I need to frog it. I can just take it out and it will go away on the thing. So I am finding Pattern Keeper to be very, very good for me and the way that I stitch. Which does mean, unfortunately, a lot of these paper chart guys are sitting in a corner because I just do not have the wherewithal to do them. So I will have to see if I can wrangle her into Pattern Keeper, because I would like to finish these. I have the collection, the Trip did, of the 3 Alice pieces. I did the Mad Hatter's Tea Party a couple of years ago, and I really, really loved that one. That was just so beautiful to stitch up and finish, and I love that it's curved and it's a different shape. It's just a bit of fun. And I also have another one from Alice after this one. I can't remember what it's called. I think it might have the Cheshire Cat in it. So I would like to have all 3 of them done and together. And obviously, if I can get them into Pattern Keeper, that will make a world of difference to being able to do them. Our next piece matches something that I did early last year. There it is up there. I'm doing another Cubone skull. You guys, this is so cute. This is based on my favorite Pokemon of all time, which of course is Cubone. I love him so much. He has tragic backstory, tragic life, but he's just the sweetest little guy, and I love him. So last year, you'll remember I picked this up from Blackwell's Stitching. It was a freebie that they had. So I grabbed this one so quickly, so quickly. And I immediately stitched it up. I think the first one took me a day. As you can see, I am a good chunk of the way through this one. I just need to put in the flowers and it will be done. But I decided I needed to keep one in my filming space, and then I kept wanting one for my work desk. So I started stitching this little guy the other day, and I will be putting him up in my workspace very, very soon. This is just a 14 count black Ada. I know everyone seems to be scared of black Ada, but it's not that hard to work with. You guys can totally do it. Totally do it. Things that I have found to be helpful, because I did quite a few black projects in the past year, were holding it up in front of a window. So like this one here, I would sit and stitch in front of upright, or using the TV. I find that the light actually shining through helped. I know that other people have been known to use a white pillowcase or a sheet on their lap, and they've said that that really works for them. But I found that that just didn't make enough contrast. So having the actual light come through itself made it really easy to find those holes and line up your needle just right. So I do really, really enjoy this one. This little fella won't take me very long to finish at all. He's just got the little flowers. So there's 3 red flowers and some leaves, and then he will be completely done again. I have got a tiny little red plastic hoop for him to put up in my workspace. So this dude has a little wooden hoop, which I thought was perfect for him, and I'm keeping him here in that one, but the red one is gonna go to work and just adorn my desk. The next project is another Dark Ada baby. This is my little adoptee from my friend Liz. Here's your close-up of what she has done so far. I haven't touched this one as yet. So this is Victorian Charm from Dimensions. I love this one and I can't wait to work on it. This is going to be so much fun, and I really enjoy the idea that I have something my friends started and I get to finish it. So this one came with everything, and I mean everything, from Liz. She did not have to send me so many things, but she did. So she had this one up a little while ago. I think it was a couple of years ago now. And she said that she wasn't going to finish it, and I said that I quite liked it and I would like to take it over for her. So she sent it to me, and when she was sending it to me, I thought, cool, I'm going to get, you know, the pattern, the floss, the half done project. Great. No, she sent me the whole kit and caboodle. The whole kit and caboodle, you guys. So not only did I get the project itself, all of the floss, but they are organized on floss cards. I got a little project tracker that she's already filled out with all of its details, which is just absolute gold, because I know exactly what's going on with it. It's got a piece of cardboard in it to keep it nice and straight, and it's also got the pattern and the cover. And then it's also got a little orts catcher in here, and it's just the cutest bag. It's covered in stars. I love it so much, so much. So that is this one for now. I would like to start getting it done. She is quite large. She is quite large, and she is on a navy Ada. So it's going to be quite long. As you can see, it's the length of my arm, the length of my whole arm. And Liz has started right at the top there for us. So I am excited to get this one done and get a little bit of work on it. As I said, I haven't started it yet. So everything you see there is actually from our friend Liz. And that's all the work that she had put in on it. So I am excited to get that one done for her. The next project we have is one that was so much fun to get started, and I absolutely loved it. It was perfect for fandom last year because it was Disney themed. Say hello to the villain stitch along from Abby Sue Designs. Here is your close-up. So these are all, of course, our villains, and they are in year order. I love these guys so much, so much. And I was so excited for this stitch along when it came out. This is my first Abby Sue project. So I'm really stoked with how it's coming out so far. Abby Sue tends to use a lot of fractal stitching, and you know, a lot of backstitching to make her work really pop, but she has the Disney characters down pat, babe. Look at how perfect they are. So this was designed as mugshots for all of these villains. So they are supposed to have the prison bars in behind them for their height markers and stuff like that. But I decided to do them on this beautiful green fabric instead, which is from Color Cascades, and I believe it is called Welcome to the Jungle. And I have gone with leaving them blank just to really let them pop off on their own. So as you can see, I am up to Cruella de Vil. I'm just gonna pop it down. So I've popped her down just because she's not on a frame. She's a little bit awkward to hang on to, a little bit hard to hold. So I've popped her down for now, but I will split screen so you guys can have a good look-see and get your fill. So this piece is from Abby Sue Designs. It is the villain Mugshot Stitch Along. She has stitched 2/1 on an 18 count Ada from Color Cascades called Welcome to the Jungle, and I thought this color was just so perfect. Being that lime green, she screamed out for Disney villains. Absolutely screamed for it. So I had to give it to her. And I have done the first line of villains, and then I have also done Cruella, who starts the second line. Now I did have to stop this one and wait for the auxiliary villains to be released, because I didn't quite vibe with Madame Medusa, who was the next villain in the line, and I didn't want my villains to be out of number order. So I did have to stop there. I filled out most of the framework. As you can see, I filled out the full second line of frames and started the bottom line of frames. I got through the first one and 3/4 of the nameplate, and I didn't want to do that anymore because it was all just the same lines. So I decided I would take her off her snap and pop her away and then just wait around and see what our auxiliary villain list looked like. I am pretty excited. We've obviously got Yzma in there, we've got Ursula in there, and we all know how I feel about Ursi. So there are quite a few that I would like to get stitched in. They are quite big releases. There are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of stitches in these guys, but I also think that it's totally worth the giant stitch count for them because they look so good. So good, even with all of those pesky little fractals that like to try and kill me and my eyes on 18 count Ada. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. This is why I switched to being an even weave girly. For anyone that doesn't stitch a lot with fractals, if you do have to start doing them, I highly recommend learning the 2/2 method and then going off on even weave, because you don't have to split that. There's already a hole there. You're covered, babe. You're covered. It's nice. It's nice. But this is where this one's up to. So now that we have our list of auxiliary villains, I am going to look through and redistribute the map at the bottom to line them all up and see who is going to go next to whom so that I can get through and finish them. And I think what I'm going to do here is start with whoever places next to Cruella, do a line on her and do a line on the frame underneath. Do a line on them, do a line on the frame underneath, just to try and balance out and stop having quite so much of the grey and the white. I think that that's going to be really, really good. And then to finish it, there is an actual frame that goes around the whole piece, and I haven't quite decided if I'm going to do that as well or not. The next piece we have falls under the paper pattern problem pieces category in my life. This is Thomas Kincaid's Lion King from the Disney Dreams collection. She has 1,000 stitches in her currently. Even though it does not look like much, she is on an 18 count Ada. She's very tiny. And I really do love this piece. I cannot wait to get it done. It would be very nice to work on it, but again, it's not in Pattern Keeper. So she takes a long time to get to. This one did come to me as a full kit. It was a birthday gift quite a number of years ago, I believe before I moved house. So I've had this kit since before 2020, and I think I started it in 2020. And then I worked on it once and I put it down, and I haven't worked on it since. Just because there are so many color changes in her and she is so detailed. You have to get this one perfectly right. This is a piece I've already started doing the back stitch as I go. And I will stick with that for this one because it is so detailed with all of these animals and all of those little details and things. I think it really needs to have that as we go. But this one did come as a full kit, as I said, so it's really nice. I don't have to worry about the threads or anything. They're all packed away. They're ready to go for me. My only real problem is that it's got blending filaments in it, and I have never used those before. So they're a whole new thing. I assume they work very similarly to metallics, except that I put them with another floss and I work them through that way. But it's not something I've used before. So if you have any suggestions on that or any advice on that, do let me know. Is it like metallic? Is there a right way and a wrong way to pick up my thread and thread my needle? Do I have to look out for something like that? What are the pitfalls? You guys are going to be my saviors here and hopefully tell me exactly what I'm doing. Especially if you've done a Disney Dreams kit, you'll know all the secrets, right? So you can share with your girl. Let me know. Let me know how we go with that one. But that's where this one's up to. So I haven't worked on it in a very long time. I would like to pull it out and work on it. I think once one of my other Q snaps is free, it's going to be one that I have to pop on a snap. So it's up, it's out, I can see it, because that will obviously make me want to work on it a lot more. The next pattern I have to share with you guys is one that I have not worked on in a very long time. I think I worked on this when I first moved into this house, and then it just kind of fell by the wayside. It is another paper pattern base, which could explain why it's been sitting in the cupboard for so long. But this is where I am up to on Royal Games from Mirabilia. Here is your close-up. So for those that don't know this piece, it is 2 queens on a playing card. So you can hang them either way up. I have had the suggestion that once I finish it, I should get the wire put in the middle of the frame so that I can just turn it either way, depending on how I feel. So I could do like 6 months of the year one way and 6 months of the year the other way. But this was the first fancy lady that I ever started. So I have chosen to stitch my queens up here on a 32 count even weave. Are we even surprised at this point? And she's opalescent. This is actually the first opalescent piece that I ever started working on. This is where my love for it began. And it is just plain white underneath so that it perfectly lines up with the playing card theme. I think it works really nicely. I know a couple of people I have seen have done this one, and there is a companion piece too, so I am in for the long haul now, you guys. I'm gonna have to get that one as well. Like I said, the only problem with it is this one is not in Pattern Keeper, so I find it very hard to work on it because I have to set up with a board and the fabric and the pattern and the highlighters and all the things just to make sure that I've got the space and I've got the correctness to work on this. This one does of course have beading and things like that as well, so I will need to go through and bead her once she is fully stitched and back stitched, but she's gonna look really good, and I love that you can display the 2 queens either way up. I think they're really, really pretty. So with this one, I am gonna do her skin in 1/1, but everything else is being done 2/2, and that should just make her skin look really smooth and flawless like our mermaids, and have everything else with a bit more depth and dimension. So I would like to get back into this one. If anyone knows of how to wrangle these guys into Pattern Keeper, please tell me your secrets. Please tell me your secrets, because I want to work on her, but I am dying. I am definitely not a paper pattern human anymore. Our next piece is one that's quite a bit different. This is mini foliage from So Easy. So this is, as you can see, a fully stamped kit. So she is quite different from what we're used to. The backstory with this one is that my wonderful husband went and got her for me at the start of last year. So in February, my grandfather got really sick and went into hospital, and we drove down to see him. But on our way, we were T-boned by another car, and I also ended up in hospital for a day, and I was quite badly injured. So with my own injuries and dealing with my grandfather being unwell, everything became really overwhelming and I couldn't think or function properly. So my husband tried to cheer me up by going out and buying a new cross stitch kit for me. However, this was what he found. So he wasn't able to find your classic counted cross stitch like we usually have. He did find this. So he found 3 different Minnie Mouse options that were all pre-stamped kits. So this has been a real journey. As you can see, the colors are completely different to what they should be. So there's these big yellow flowers at the bottom, and they're actually going to end up being pink. So it's a bit of a mind flip, and it has made me very uncomfortable, but it is really satisfying to get the correct color onto these things, I tell you what. This is a great kit for kids or beginners or someone who is sitting in a hospital waiting room completely brain dead and out of it, because you just don't have to think. You find the number, you pick it up, and you fill in all of the squares with that number on it or that color on it. And then at the end, you're supposed to soak this in a lukewarm bath of water and have all of those inky spots come out. So she will end up being on a white fabric. She is currently on a 14 count, and I think she's looking pretty good. I don't know what I'll do with her when she's done, but for the time, I think my husband made a great choice going to pick up mini foliage for me here. And I have really enjoyed it. This was great for fandom because I could just sit there and tally my numbers. So every time I do 10 stitches, I'd make a little mark on a piece of paper. That's how I've kept track of this one, because you don't even need the pattern. She does come with one, much to their credit, but it's not great. It's not great. It's not what we're used to. So this has been a very, very strange thing to work on. I don't think I would choose to do a stamped kit again. It's definitely not my vibe. But it has been an experience, and I'm glad that I got to have something that was there for me that was easy enough to do. Our second to last project today, we are almost there, you guys. You've hung on so well. If you're still here, please drop a lion emoji downstairs. Let me know that you're still watching and you're still with me. So we have our Gryffindor crest. This is what we've got. It's a cute little schnoot that we can boop. That's about it for now. Here is your close-up. This is from xstitch or Joshua Stitch, who used to be on Etsy. They are no longer there, so I do not believe you can get these patterns anymore. But this came as a 4-pack. So it was the 4 different crests for the Harry Potter house. Obviously, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and Gryffindor. And they are just beautiful. They have such gorgeous line work in them, and they would want to, because they are full, and I mean full, you guys, absolutely chock-a-block full of backstitching and blended flosses, or tweeting, as I found out that it is called, to make them have huge amounts of depth and dimension and just really pop off the fabric. So these guys have also got half stitches in them, just to give it, again, some more variance, some more depth, and I really love them. I am working this guy on, no surprise here, a 32 count even weave. This is a printed one, and she is being done 2/2. From the other ones that I finished, I don't believe that it has any split stitches, so there's no fractals, no quarters, no fun stuff like that, which is excellent. It does have half stitching, which is where you just do one leg of the cross. And then of course it's got full stitching with blended or tweeted floss in it. And I think these turn out to be absolutely gorgeous. This is of course another one I don't have in Pattern Keeper, so I really need to fix that. And that mainly is because I need to be working the backstitch as I go. So I kind of have to have a paper chart for this one, or it just does not work for my brain, because they are so in depth and the lines are so well placed. I started this one 2 years ago, I believe, at a Zoom-in catch-up with a couple of other stitches, and this is what I had managed to put in over the course of the night, and I'm really happy with it. I love the colors, I love the way it's looking, and I love the contrast against this tea rose fabric. I think this is just perfect for it. So I am hoping that this year I can pick this guy up again and get his little chin in, maybe some of his mane, and some of his like outside stitching for the crest, because I would like to get him done, and I would also like to start our little badger boy, and get them really working through for this year. I would like to be able to frame them. I am envisioning putting them all in a single frame rather than individual frames, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes down the line. That's all going to depend on cost and if I can find someone to do that for us. But yeah, that's where she's up to. So hopefully I can get a little bit more done on that one for us later this year. The last thing I have to share with you today is our 7-year project. So of course, if you've been here before, you will know who I'm bringing out. It's the Frogwarts band sampler set. This is year 5. This is where we finished last year. So we are in the final 2 years of this project. And you guys, it has been a long time coming. It has been a long time coming, sitting on my shelf, taunting me for a year to be active for 2 weeks, to go back on the shelf for a year. It's a lot. It's a lot. So here are all your close-ups. We will do the full set here and I will just have a chat about them behind. So my band samplers are done on a 32 count even weave. And I hand dyed this one. This is the first piece of fabric I dyed. I did it in coffee and tea and I put it in the oven and I had a panic attack that it was gonna catch fire, but it didn't. It didn't, so we're okay. So as you can see, this dude is quite large and there are 5 different years worth of stitches put in this. Over those 5 years, I have done this with a number of you guys through chat rooms and things like that, and just had a great time getting to know you guys and hang out and play games and do all the fun things together. So this year, as I said, we are now into year 6. So we're in the final couple of books. We are almost done. We are almost done. It's almost ready to get framed and put on the wall where it belongs. I have not had a project last this long ever. And it's killing me a bit, you guys. When I signed up, I thought, oh, you know, it'll be fine. It'll be fun. I won't notice. No. This dude stares at me all year long from the wall. And then, like I said, it comes down for the 2-week challenge period. We stitch it and it goes back on the wall. So I'm getting pretty excited that we are coming up on the end of this one. So this one is, of course, designed by the Black Needle Society. And like I said, there's 2 years left, and I believe there is a bonus year if you can swing going in person. At this point, I am just hoping to be able to swing the costs of the boxes for the next 2 years, so that I can finish the piece and get it all done and hang out with you guys a little bit more. But this one has been a lot of fun. So as you can see in all of the pictures there, each year is a different book. So every single book gets a really good amount of attention and a lot of little motifs. And I think the most fun part is trying to work out exactly what's going to be squished into this one for the coming year. So yeah, we're up to book 6 and hopefully it will be a lot of fun to do this one. I can't wait to see what our recurring theme is. So one year for our recurring, we've had jelly beans, we've had a maze, we've had extendable ears, we've had footprints from the map and that sort of thing. And I believe we had spiders for year 2. So I can't wait to find out what that is. Trying to work that out every year is always a lot of fun. So hopefully that one will be something I can swing again this year and go along and stitch. All right, you guys, that's everything that I have got ready to go and work on in this 2025. Thank you for coming along to my WIP Parade today, to our first video of the year. I am so excited to see what this year brings for all of us and see if we can finish things. I think in the bucket there were 5 different projects that could very easily be finished. So we've got obviously the little Yule cat, she can be done and ticked off. We have the Cubone skull, the Psyduck, Lola Crow's Aquarium should be pretty swift to go through. And then also the little books with the chair, also from Lola Crow there with the little kitty. I think those guys should be able to be ticked off nice and fast so we can get going and get some real records happening for 2025 already. Get that dopamine hit with those finishes. Love that for us. So I am going to see you guys again in 2 weeks. But before I go, I wanted to wish you all a very safe and happy new year. I am so glad we'll be hanging out again for 2025. Please let me know. Reach out here, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you're comfortable if you would like to chat about cross stitch and tell me what your plans are and show me pictures of what you are working on. I would absolutely love to see that. That would just boost me so much. I'm always down for a good chat, so make sure you hit me up if you want a chatting buddy. I'm definitely here for you. But until next time, you guys stay safe, you be happy, and you craft something beautiful. I'll see you again real soon, crafty creators. Bye.